Hello guys, Crafty here. Today, on behalf of One Up Collectibles, I'm going to be bringing you Thunderstone Advanced. Thunderstone Advanced is a deck building game. The theme behind it is you are a leader, and what you're doing is you are gathering up forces of heroes, items, spells, villagers to band against the Thunderstone Bear. By slaying the Thunderstone Bear in the dungeon, you are able to retrieve an evil artifact called the Thunderstone. And that's pretty much what this game revolves around. It involves you exploring the dungeon with items that you acquire from the village, and defeating the big baddie at the end of the dungeon, the Thunderstone Bear. Now, the way this works, it's a deck building game. So you purchase cards from the village to put them into your hand to build a bigger and better deck to go into the dungeon. Much like the Resident Evil game that I showed earlier. So what you do is you have a basic deck that you start with. You start with 6 regular cards, 6 of them right here. Start with 2 torches, 2 long spears, and 2 Thunderstone shards. So you have 6 cards in your basic deck. 6 cards, you take those cards, shuffle them up, and those starting 12 cards are your starting deck. What you do is you draw 6. This is your starting hand. So, with this, I have 4 regulars, a torch, and a Thunderstone shard. Now, of the 12 cards that you have in the beginning of the game, you have 4 of them: the regular, the torch, the Thunderstone shard, and the long spear. Now, if you take a look here, let's take a look at the long spear. The long spear has this number right here. This is how much gold the card is worth if you go into the village to buy an item. This number right here, this little package, is how much the weapon weighs. You calculate that by looking at your heroes at the same space. If the hero's number matches or exceeds this number right here for the weapon, then that hero can wield it. I'll explain that in a little bit too. This is how much the card costs if you would buy it from the village. What you do during the village turn, you add up all these numbers for the coins. In this example, I would have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With that 5, I could go into the village and buy any card that is worth 5 or less. You only get 1 card to buy, unless a card states that you can buy more. But basic, you just buy 1 card. So, let's take an example right here. So, say this is my starting hand right here. I have 2 torches, a Thunderstone shard, 2 regulars, and a long spear. Not exactly the best to go into the dungeon with, so I take a look at all the numbers I have here. Regulars are worth 0, so we won't count them. Well, you have to count every card in your hand, but they're worth 0, so there you go. So, looking at these, I have 2, 4, 6, 7. I have 7 gold to go into the village with. So, I say I'm going into the village, I display the cards that I have, I lay them out on the field to show everybody that I have them. And since I have 7, I take a look through the village. Everything in the village is purchasable. That is face up. So, say I wanted to buy this card right here, Summon Storm. Summon Storm is worth 6. When it is played, it gives me light. Light is also granted from torches as well. I'll explain that when we go into the dungeon. Light is used in the dungeon. Now, since I purchased this card, it goes into my discard pile. My turn is over, so I take the cards I had in my field, discard them, draw 6 new cards, and turn passes. Now we're going to take a look at the dungeon turn. So, say I wanted to go into the dungeon. I have a pretty decent dungeon hand. I have 4 regulars, a long spear, and a Thunderstone shard. So, my regular has a strength of 3, And the long spear's requirement is 3, so my regular can wield it. Now, the benefit of the regular is, when you go into the dungeon, you display your heroes out on the field. You can attach a weapon to a hero, like this, just like that. Only one weapon per hero. The benefit of the regular is, if you look at this, during the dungeon action, if equipped with a polearm, draw a card. The long spear just happens to be a polearm. So, if the regular is equipped with a long spear and you're going into the dungeon, you would draw another card to play. Drew another regular. So I would put that regular onto the field with the other regulars I had, and that would be my turn to explore the dungeon. Now, what you do is you take a look. The regular here gives you physical attack plus 1. The long spear, when equipped, also grants you a physical attack plus 1. You add up all the damage from your cards. So I have physical attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I have 6 sitting right here. Looking up at the dungeon, let's take the first card here, in rank 1. This is a Slaughter Wing. You look at the defense of the card in the upper right hand corner. This is the number you need to meet or beat in order to defeat this creature. Since I have 6, and the creature is a 6, I would be able to defeat it normally, but when you look at the dungeon, there are 3 ranks in the dungeon. Those are depths in the dungeon. Darkness levels 1, 2, and 3. What that does is, if you do not have a light source, and you go into, say, Darkness 1, rank 1, you take a -2 penalty. It's clearly laid out on the board. Darkness 1 is -2 penalty, Darkness 2 is a -4 penalty, Darkness 3 is a -6. So if you do not have enough light sources to negate that darkness, then you take that penalty to your attack. I'll explain that a little better. Say this was my hand instead of the Thunderstone shard. I had a torch. This torch grants me a 1 light. With that 1 light, I can go into the level 1 of darkness and negate that penalty. So I would need a 6 or better to beat that creature instead of an 8. With this hand, I could actually defeat that creature. Battle effects and aftermath, all that set aside. Straight up numbers. So, I could also go after the rank 2 creature. I would take that darkness level from 2 down to 1 since I have 1 light, and it would only be a -2 penalty. Now, since I can't defeat any of those creatures, unfortunately, because the Slaughter Wing, when you go into battle with it, reveal the top card of the active player's deck. Add its gold cost to this card's health, which would be that. If it is a hero of level 2 or lower, destroy it. Basically what that does is if you reveal a hero of level 2 or lower, you would destroy that card you just revealed. So, let's take into effect this count right here. I'm going to battle him regardless. So I have 5 regulars, and a long spear. That gives me 6 physical attack, right there. And a torch. So now, since I have 6 attack and 1 light source, I could go in to face him with a 6. Provided that I reveal a card whose gold is 0 or less. Or 0. If it's anything higher, then I'm boned for the turn. So I'm going to flip over my top card, and it is a regular. Gold cost of 0. No health is added to that creature. being that it is a hero of level 2 or lower. It is a level 0. He's destroyed, unfortunately, which takes him out of my deck. So he's removed from the game. But, since I have 6 attack, and his defense is still 6, I defeat him. This is how many victory points he is worth at the end of the game, which would be 5. When you defeat a creature, this is how much experience you gain from him. So I gain 3 experience for defeating him. I would take these little markers right here. These little markers. That's how many experience I just gained, 3. I'll put that in my little area to mark that I have 3 experience now. I take this creature I just defeated and put him into my discard. So he's added to my discard pile. I take my cards I just used, since my turn is over, throw it in, draw 6 new cards, and pass my turn. Once a creature is defeated in the open spot, you slide the creatures down and refill that empty spot. This will continue until you get to the bottom 11 cards. The boss is in the bottom 11 cards. At the beginning of the game, you take 10 creatures from the dungeon deck. Set them aside, put the boss monster in them, shuffle it up, and put it on the bottom. So the boss is always guaranteed to be in the bottom 11 cards. Now, what can we do with this experience? During your turn, what you can do to use that experience, take a look at your cards you have. So I have 4 regulars, a torch, and a Thunderstone shard. I can go into the village to purchase something. I have 3 gold. 3 gold right there. Regulars give you none. So during my village phase, I would purchase a card. Let's say we'll buy this Battle-Scarred Soldier right here. Battle-Scarred Soldier is worth 3. He goes into my discard pile. Now, after I buy something, I can level up my heroes. A regular is a level 0 hero. So what I can do is I take a look at this bottom left-hand corner number, which is 2. If I have any experience, I can spend that much experience to level him up. So what I'm going to do, since he's in my hand, I'm going to say I'm going to level him up. So I would destroy this card, spend 2 experience, spend the 2 experience, and what I can do, since I leveled up the regular, I can take a look at any of the 4 heroes available and level the regular up into one of them, provided that the level 1 is showing on top. At the beginning of the game, the level 1 is always showing. Throughout the game, when the cards get purchased and when they get leveled up, certain levels will be revealed. If a level 2 is on top, you cannot level up a regular into that card. So, I'm going to take the regular. I'm going to take this card right here. This hero right here. Now, this hero is obviously a lot better than the regular. Has a 5 strength. She has a physical attack of 2. And to purchase her normally would have been 6. But since I leveled up the regular into her, I don't have to worry about buying her. She also provides -1 gold. So I take that card, put it into my discard pile, discard the rest of the cards that I have, and continue on. Now, all heroes have a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. Here's the level 1, which I just showed you. If you would level up this character, it would cost 2. So what you would do in that case, you would spend 2 experience, trash the card, and grab a level 2, and put it into your discard pile. Now the card is worth -2 gold, still 5 strength, but gives you a physical attack +4 when the card is played. And when you go into the dungeon with this card, since it has a dungeon text, switch the position of 2 adjacent monsters in the hall. So, if you would play that card and go into the dungeon, you could take a look at the dungeon up top. If there was a card that you could have defeated normally, if it was one rank lower, then you could switch around, say, this card and this card. Then that card would be defeatable. But that's what that ability does. So put that back. All heroes do something different. And it's really up to the player's playstyle to choose which one they want. Not all heroes do something good at the beginning at level 1. Specifically, take a look at this card right here, the Martyr. 4 strength, magic attack +1. However, when you go into the dungeon, destroy this card to cancel 1 battle or aftermath effect on a monster in the hall. So, it's actually good because if a battle effect or aftermath effect would actually hurt you, you could actually destroy this card, trashing it out of the game to cancel the effect. Seems counterintuitive to trash a card, but some battle effects can actually hurt you, like the bird we destroyed earlier. And next we'll actually take a few turns to show you what happens in a normal round. So let's play a few turns to get used to this game. I have my 6 cards right here. 3 regulars, a long spear, a torch, and a Thunderstone shard. So I take a look, not very confident with 4 physical attack going in. So I look at how much gold I have. I have 5. So I decide I'm going to the village first. Lay out all your cards. Show how much gold you have. So I have 5. Going to the village. I'm going to purchase a mass teleport for 5. What this allows me to do is when I go into the dungeon I draw 3 cards, but I can't use any of the dungeon effects on those cards. Put into my discard. Take the 6 cards that I have in the field, discard them, draw 6 new cards, and I take a look at what I have. Pretty much the same hand. It is the same hand. So I take a look at my options. Again, not very confident in what I have to go in. So what I'm going to do this time is lay it out. I have 5 gold. I'm going to buy a Moonstone. Moonstone gives me 2 gold, 2 light. It's worth 5. And when you go into the dungeon, I draw a card. Discard. Discard. When you have no more cards to draw, shuffle up your discard pile. Draw 6 new cards. And it's time to go again. So, this time I have a decent enough hand to go into the dungeon. The first monster is an ogre, which is a 7 defense, but the second monster is a 5. So I have a chance with this if I draw a right card. I have 1 light, so I have a decent chance here. So I say I'm going to go into the dungeon. I have 4 regulars. I'm going to use one of those regulars, equip a long spear to it, and show my torch. The long spear, when attached to a regular, is a polearm, so since I went to the dungeon, I draw a card. It's a Thunderstone shard. Unfortunately, that does not really help me all that much. So, I'm stuck going into the dungeon regardless. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 1 light. That is not enough to defeat anything available. So, I have to bite the bullet, take a look at what is available. I do not want to face the ogre, because after the battle is over, Aftermath goes off. Destroy 1 hero with strength 3 or less, which would be one of my regulars. I don't want to do that right now. The second ability, the second rank, is Plunderwing. Reveal the top card. If the card is a weapon or item, destroy it. Don't want to do that either. The third one, Battle. This card gains health equal to the total health of other kobolds in the hall. There are no other kobolds in the hall. I would feel safe being defeated by this character, or by this creature. When you are defeated by a creature, nothing bad happens. All you do is you take the creature, put it in the bottom of the dungeon, and flip over another card. So, this is the safest creature that I could be defeated by. So, I face him, I don't defeat him, I take his card, put it in the bottom of the dungeon, flip over the top one, it's another ogre, and then I pass my turn, discarding all my cards. As I said, nothing bad happens when you die to a creature, so feel free to manipulate the dungeon as you see fit. Take a look at what I have now. I feel pretty good about going into the dungeon with this. I just have a hunch. So I have two regulars, the mass teleport, which is why I want to go in, the long spear, and the torch. So I take the two regulars, put them down, equip one with the long spear. I'm going to use that dungeon ability first. So I draw a card. It's a moonstone, very good. So the moonstone allows me to draw another card. Shuffle up my discard pile. Draw a card. It's another regular. So I add that to the field. And now I'm going to use the mass teleport. So I use the mass teleport. Draw 3 cards. No more dungeon effects can be used, which is fine because they're not dungeon effects. 2 more regulars and a torch. This is what the turn has turned into. Thunderstone Shard's not going to be used. Mass Teleport was used. So, I have 4 light with the Moonstone and the 2 torches. They don't add to my battle any damage, so I have 1 regular equipped with a long spear. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After all that, 6 attack, 6 physical attack, with 4 light. So I take a look at anything. I could face any darkness, any depth level, perfectly fine, with 6. So, with that, the Plunder Wing looks like my best bet. It's a 5. Battle. Reveal the top card of your active player's deck. If it's gold cost, add it to the health of the card. So, I'm going to have to go in against it. I draw it. Thunderstone Shard. It's a 1 gold cost, so it adds 1 to its health, so it is now at a 6. Perfect. However, the Thunderstone Shard is an item, so it does get destroyed, unfortunately. I have 6 against the Plunder Wing, which is now a 6. I defeat it. It's worth 3 experience. I take my 3 experience, add it to my pile, add him to my discard pile, take all the cards I just played, and then discard them. I then draw 6 more. Shuffling up, and then drawing. Now I'll show you what it's like to rest and how to prepare. So, I actually drew the trophy this time, drew the character this time. These, even when they're defeated, the victory points are not added up until the end of the game. However, they still do offer some benefits. Some give light, some give gold, some also give you trophy effects. Trophy effects come into play when they are laid out. Skeletons, for example, give a trophy of +1 physical attack. So if you would have that out, that would actually be worth 1 physical attack for the dungeon turn. So, I take a look at what I have. Not all that thrilled with what I have. But I have 5 gold here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these cards for 5 gold, put them on top of my library, because I'm going to prepare. Take the remaining 3, discard them, draw 6. Those 3 that I placed on top are right here, and I got 4 additional gold on top of it. So that's how you prepare. On this turn, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to rest. So I'm going to take this card, destroy it, discard my hand, and draw 6 cards. I hope that was a good introduction to Thunderstone Advanced. There are many other things that could happen. This field is one of the special scenarios in the base book. However, if you wanted to play something different, there are randomizer cards at the beginning of the game before you even set up the field that you would deal out to get a different amount of cards and different playstyles. No two setups should be the same, because you would do the same with the monsters. 3 different monster levels, 1, 2, and 3. I like the game because it's a good theme. You're a general of sorts, hiring heroes to take on some deep, dark dungeon, like any other role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, but in card game form, deck building. So, if you have any questions, leave comments, and on behalf of One Up Collectibles, I hope you enjoyed the video for Thunderstone Advanced. This has been Crafty. Have a good day.